We had a good session this past session, and I think that will provide a great baseline of where to begin our work this coming year.
MDOT presents the Extra Mile Podcast, Legislative Session.
Got to have the ability to get that product to market.
As long as you're performing, we want to be behind you pushing.
Welcome in to another edition of the Extra Mile Podcast Legislative Session presented by the Mississippi Department of Transportation. I'm MDOT Deputy Director of Public Affairs Paul Catul, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host Will Kraft. He handles government and constituent affairs here at the agency. It is a busy time of the year for Will.
Indeed.
Let's get right into it. We're recording this podcast on January 31st, so we're already a third of the way through the 2023 legislative session. And today we're lucky to have a repeat guest on the show and a huge friend of MDOT, Mississippi's Commissioner of Agriculture and Commerce, Andy Gipson. Commissioner Gipson took office in April of 2018, and he serves as Mississippi's 8th Commissioner of Agriculture and Commerce. He also served 10 years in the Mississippi House of Representatives. Commissioner Gipson, thank you so much for joining us again.
Well, Paul, thank you for having me. It's always great to be here, and actually I've enjoyed watching y'all's or listening to y'all's podcast, or both. Somehow or another, you find a way to keep them interesting, and I appreciate that. Talking about the legislative session is hard to do when there's so many moving parts, and y'all do a great job with this.
That means a lot. Yeah, it really does.
I very much appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back. We're glad to have you on again. Do you miss it? Do you miss being in the legislature this time of year?
Not a bit. I'm so glad. That was one of the happiest days of my life when I walked out of that House of Representatives.
Oh, wow.
But the good news is I get to be involved as much or as little as I want to be or have to be. And I was down there about 3 times last week working on some good stuff and with our friends, and I enjoyed that part. So I guess I shouldn't say the happiest day of my life, but I will say this. There comes a time in the legislature when you know it's time to go, and that time had come for me. I enjoyed my service there. I enjoyed working with the people. So many of them are still there, my friends. But, it was time to turn a chapter, and I'm glad to be the Commissioner of Agriculture of Mississippi and still involved in the legislative process.
That's right. No, you're not in the Capitol anymore, but you didn't pack everything up and go to the House. You guys are wide open.
We are.
Dixie National going on.
We have the Dixie National, and you'd be surprised how many folks are coming out for this. I looked at the report the other day. We track it about 2 months out to compare where we are this time this year compared to this time last year. And we are, considerably ahead. Last year we set an all-time record for the Dixie National in terms of tickets sold. And this year we're about 40% ahead of that.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's huge. And all I can attribute it to, I wish I could take the credit, but I'm going to attribute it to the Yellowstone effect, all right?
Okay.
People love Yellowstone.
That's true.
Now, I've been to the real Yellowstone a bunch of times, took my family out there on a road trip camping, but this TV show has taken it to a new level. We got Lainey Wilson coming to the rodeo. She's sold out in December.
Oh, wow.
And so we had to do another round of floor tickets just for her. And I think just the great interest of the people of Mississippi and all over America of the old-time way of the pioneer days and the Western lifestyle. And, we still country people here in Mississippi, and that's something we can never forget.
That's right. Proud of it.
Proud of it.
Very proud.
Yeah.
What are some things going on with the Dixie National right now? What's the hot ticket item for folks to come out and see? I know you got plenty of great guest music lined up.
Oh yeah, well I'll just start with them because that is our entertainment lineup is starting out the event with Randy Hauser, who is of course a native Mississippian. We've got Lainey Wilson, we've got Chancey Williams, who's one of the up and comers. We have got Chris Lane. And I'm going off of my memory now. A couple of throwbacks, Diamond Rio. They're going to be there as well. So it's something for everybody, and we've got a great lineup. It kicks off February the 10th, and then it'll go. That's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, February 10th through 12th. Take a break Monday and Tuesday. They'll be riding slack those days, and competing in the rodeo Monday and Tuesday, and then the rodeo performances kick up the 15th all the way through the 18th. So February 10th through 18th, and don't wait around. Get your tickets now.
Right.
I tell people all the time, don't wait. Don't call me and complain. If you wait too long, they'll be gone.
Yep, that's right.
That's right.
Don't delay. Don't delay. So listen, you're known as a very hands-on commissioner of agriculture and commerce. You get things done. The new trade mart. So talk about, first of all, to people who don't know what that is, kind of tell us what that is and what the finishing of that project has meant.
Well, it is really no way to put too great an emphasis on what the new trade mart has meant to the state fairgrounds. I gave a legislative report in our budget hearing the other day. We have seen numbers of events at the fairgrounds grow exponentially since the completion of that new trade mart. Most people in Mississippi may not have been. A lot more have been this year than in prior year, in the pandemic years. But we started that project after Commissioner Cindy Hyde-Smith took office and went to the United States Senate. We took up the mantle and began building it in 2018. We completed it during the pandemic in 2020. I think we actually opened it up in October, right before the State Fair of 2020. And the couple of years there, people didn't know about it, but as more and more people have come and seen the new trade mart, it is connected to the Coliseum. So you have 16,000 square foot, 3 different bays, much larger facility than we had in our old trade mart, but it's being combined under one roof with the Coliseum. We've had events booked here to beat the band, to the point we have exceeded our average number of event days. An event day is the day that one of our buildings is rented on the fairgrounds. Normally, we always would shoot for about 500 event days. You can have a couple of buildings. Yeah, that was in normal times. The pandemic hit, boom, everything died. We have built it back, and this year we're going to hit 765 event days, driven primarily by the rental of that trade mart building. So more events, more people, more spectators and trade shows and all that. The Trade Mart is a world-class facility. It is really, really nice, and when the people of Mississippi see it, they want to come back. I had a lot of people during the fairs who came this year for the first time, said they'd never been there. One lady came up looking for the Trade Mart, the old one, and she was mad because it was gone. I said, yes, ma'am, it was tore down in 2020. I'm sorry, but here's a brand new one, and she liked that. It's got a great cafe in the back, all right? Yeah. I love it. Y'all like to eat. I like to eat.
Oh, yes.
Commissioner Agriculture likes to eat, and everybody in the world loves to eat. We got to eat to support our farmers, support our bodies, and we built a Dixie National Steakhouse in that cafe. We're building that out. It will open February 3rd.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're going to be up and running this February the 3rd. It'll run throughout the entirety of the Dixie National through February 18th. So you can come to the new Trade Mart in the new cafe and get you a good, juicy steak, beef. It's what's for dinner.
That's pretty good.
Supper. That's right.
Go over to the Trade Mart, something for an event or for the rodeo, and go get a steak dinner while you're there.
That's right. It worked out good. We did it last year. People came for the rodeo. They come early and get them a steak. We also have chicken tenders and all that for the kids and hamburgers. But, that's a great way to, no pun intended, get a taste of the Mississippi Trade Mart, the new Trade Mart. You can check it out while you're there.
That's exactly
Love
right.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. Switching gears a little bit, you talked about your time in the House and all the work you did there. We know you don't miss it. You love what you're doing, but you guys have some important legislation that y'all are working on this year.
We've got a couple of little items that are technical amendments like your office has. We were talking earlier, there are always things that change in the law that we have to update our laws that have been on the books to adjust to. Well, our law enforcement agency, the Mississippi Agriculture and Livestock Theft Bureau, we have a few agents around the state. Chief Dean Bernard, he's a 30-year veteran of the Department of Public Safety. He's our chief, and he brought some updates to us to help us do our job more efficiently. We get to investigate all agriculture-related crimes, and sometimes that we get involved with cases that really go beyond what we thought they would be. The other day we found a piece of stolen equipment and wound up to be a ring of thieves up in the Delta, and we found I think 20 or 30 pieces of equipment and cars, automobiles, trucks that had been stolen, found them all. And we also have the ability to partner across state lines. So we work very closely with our sheriff's offices, our police chiefs, and also our neighboring jurisdictions. And we've actually rounded up cattle thieves in Louisiana and brought them back into Mississippi. We're working with the FBI and working with our partners in Louisiana. So it's an important thing. It's a technical amendment just to update the law. We're watching some of the other big ticket items. There's a bill in the House that would put restrictions on foreign government ownership of land. We're very interested in that. It's a big deal. We need to make sure that we retain the right to produce our own food in this country. I think everybody would agree with that, and not let China or somebody buy it up. And, there's some other technical. I tell you, one thing I'm really interested in is this criminal crime situation. We're operating the fairgrounds in Jackson, Mississippi. And not only do we have a water crisis that we had to deal with by putting down a new well, but there's a public safety crisis in Jackson, Mississippi. Let's face it.
Sure.
I heard the governor talking about it on his State of the State the other day. Well, there's some bills that would clamp down on that and put some new Capitol Police authority, and I support that because somebody needs to be enforcing the law down here. And when you don't enforce the law, criminals get by and think they can get by doing everything. That's why you got 100 carjackings pending right now in Jackson, Mississippi. To carjacking cases. The lieutenant governor told me that the other day. So I support the work they're doing on that. I think it's good for our people. Y'all have to work in Jackson. I got employees that have to work here, and we need to crack down on this bad element and make sure they know if they break the law, they're going to be consequences. And I commend the legislature for working on that. But we're monitoring things. We're working on issues, and we are supportive of of course, the projects that y'all have going to make sure we have the infrastructure in place to move our products across the state of Mississippi. It does us no good to grow them in the field or in the pasture and have no way to get them across the bridge. We got to have good infrastructure, and we appreciate y'all working on the roads of Mississippi all across this state.
Absolutely. Paul, before we jump to the next thing here, this might sound silly to plenty of folks out there, but cattle theft, I got to get an update here. I thought, and speaking of Yellowstone, I thought that was something that had ended, 100 years ago or something, but people still rustling cattle.
Well, this is a true story. We had a stockyard in central Mississippi. They had all the cows hauled in. Farmers like myself delivered cattle, and it's there overnight. This was on a Sunday night, getting ready for, I think, a Monday sale. And on Sunday night, a sorry, good-for-nothing thief pulled in and loaded up, I think, 30 head of calves in the middle of the night, on Sunday night now, and drove them to Louisiana.
Goodness.
Now, the good news is our folks went over there and investigated and got them on camera, found out it actually got their tag number, ran it, found out who they were able to call ahead over to Louisiana. And before the night was through, that gentleman felt led to bring them back.
Oh, wow.
When he did, he was arrested and booked into the local jail right there. So I want to commend our Agriculture Livestock Theft Bureau agents, Chief Dean Bernard. They're doing good work. Nobody knows about it. This doesn't make the press, but there's still cattle theft, and it's still here, and we still fight it. But also equipment theft, tractors, four-wheelers. You'd be surprised how many folks caught with stolen four-wheelers out.
Copper wire, we're right there with you.
That's right.
Can't keep the lights on because of it.
Shooting cows, and during deer season, it happens. I mean, people are just something else.
Lord.
People need to behave for sure. Just
act
behave.
Right. Act right.
Act right.
Just act right. Don't and do right. Do the right thing.
We won't have to send Dean Bernard after you.
Amen.
So you talked last year a little bit about the importance of having a strong transportation network for agriculture and commerce. You just mentioned again, but before the show, you're talking. There's some good records that you have over there.
We are really proud of our farmers, and I brought with me. This is just a one-pager. I'm sorry it's not in color, but this is our top 10 agriculture commodities that we produce in this state. Of course, number one is chicken, and along with that is eggs, of course. But this year came in at nearly $4 billion. Now, this is the value of the product at the farm gate before it's ever processed into your Chick-fil-A sandwich. At $3.84 billion. Soybeans, $1.78 billion. Forestry, $1.3 billion. Corn, $631 million. Cotton, $624 million. livestock $455 million, catfish $257 million, hay $164, sweet potatoes $112, and then everything else, specialty crops like blueberries $111. Now, what all this adds up to is $9.72 billion. That's an all-time record in Mississippi. In fact, it's 2 years in a row our farmers have produced record value of production in this state, even in the midst of a pandemic, when a lot of other states were quitting or folding up their arms and going to the house. Our farmers kept working, and we appreciate them. We're thankful for them. And every time I tell folks, thank a farmer, I mean it, but especially now during these days. We know how important our food production is, and farmers are doing more with less today, even in the face of inflation and the doubling prices of fertilizer. Farmers are getting the job done at an all-time record in this state, and I'm so proud of our agriculture industry. And that's where you guys come in. After they do their job, we got to get it moved, right? Got to get it transported.
Sure, that's right. And I know we have a great working relationship with you guys out there. I'm sure you run into our crews, we run into y'all, but everything I've always heard is always good working relationship between everybody. One question about on this list of commodities here, I really thought catfish would be higher up there.
Well, you would think so, but here's the thing. We are number one. Mississippi is the number one producer of catfish in the country.
Okay.
So it's number, whatever it is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the list, but actually as a state, we are the top producer of catfish, of U.S. farm-raised catfish in America. Behind us is, I think, Arkansas and Alabama, or Alabama, Arkansas, one or the other, but we are proud of that. And, catfish is something special in Mississippi. We're the ones who really found out our farmers figured out how to raise catfish that tastes good.
Clean, that's right.
It's clean and good, and it's good on a Friday night at the fish house for everybody.
Getting us hungry.
Yeah.
And just one other, this is just for my interest here. The poultry, that large, that big, where do we kind of look nationally on that? Are we number one, too?
I think as a state, we're probably in the top 5 producers of poultry. Now, let me tell you something that just happened about poultry. I went to a Carthage processing plant the other day. They were processing birds. I asked them how many birds they're processing. They were doing a lot, and I could tell it was a lot. And it's 400,000 birds a day, 400,000 chickens every day being processed in Carthage, Mississippi. I asked them where all that chicken's going. That's a lot. They said 2/3 of it's going to Chick-fil-A.
Oh, wow.
I said, my goodness. Well, I said, what did y'all do before Chick-fil-A? He said, we thank God for Chick-fil-A.
I guess so.
That being said, just last year, end of last year, Chick-fil-A came in and bought all the new equipment and retrofitted an older plant over in Scott County, and it today is back up and running, doing 100% Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is the fastest growing, this is not a Chick-fil-A advertisement, but I do like it, but it's the fastest growing restaurant in the world. And when you get your Chick-fil-A sandwich, you might well be eating Mississippi raised, genuine Mississippi chicken.
That's pretty cool.
That? It's cool. That's why agriculture touches everybody, from the farmer to the processor to whoever's in line at Chick-fil-A waiting for your sandwich and lemonade. It touches everybody's life.
Got to have the lemonade with it.
Gotta have it.
That's right.
Goodness, we were just talking the other day. I mean, Chick-fil-A is one of those foods just never gets old. You eat it every day.
Yeah.
Probably not the best for you, but anyway, it's
right.
very good. Commissioner Gipson, we've covered a lot of ground. Anything else you kind of want to get out there that we've missed on before we wrap up?
Well, just I brought one piece of information that most people don't know, and I could talk all day about things people don't know about the Department of Agriculture, but our Petroleum Inspection Division is one that we're really proud of. We are the agency tasked by the legislature with inspecting all the petroleum pumps statewide. And so this particular year, this is our annual report to the legislature. This year we tested 57,745 devices at about 2,600 retail establishments. We test that for quantity, how much that pump is producing, that makes sure our people are getting what they pay for, and also quality, to make sure it is that it doesn't have any water, any of the dilutive additive in it, a problematic issue. So our Petroleum Inspection Division is doing that work. That's why you see our stickers on the pump. And everybody, if you ever have an issue with your fuel quality or quantity being at the pump, just give that number a call, and we'll send somebody out there that day.
That was my next question.
That's right, that very day. That's why that sticker's there. You call it, there will be a response that day.
Amazing.
Yeah, that is pretty good.
Great.
Well, hey, let's bring us home here with the end-all question, the one that we look forward to. We've already talked about food about 3 times during this podcast, but
We like to eat.
we like to eat.
Yes,
We
we
love
do.
to eat. And we say it here. As a people, as a podcast, we like to eat. We're going to switch it up a little bit for you. Last year we had you on. We talked about some greats. I went back and listened to it earlier. Barry's and Jerry's both got big mentions, and you still cannot go wrong.
Yeah.
Well, and while it is Dixie National season, we're not quite to the fair just yet.
Yeah.
What would you say your favorite fair food is?
Well,
If you can.
Yeah, my favorite fair food in October. I get to sample a little bit of everything. I have to
Imagine.
say, but if I couldn't pick the biscuits at the biscuit booth, and I do dearly love them, then I guess I would go on down. I really like an elephant ear.
Oh, yeah.
Just a good deep fried elephant ear, and I guess I got that from my mother, who likes them. She introduced me to them. And people come with that sugar on top of them.
right.
My goodness, it's I wouldn't eat it every day, but it's good in
gonna have to-
October at the Mississippi State Fair.
I'm going to have to go to Krispy Kreme after this now. Got it on
yeah.
my mind. That's great.
Yeah.
I would
Great
not
answer.
disagree.
Y'all come see us at the Dixie National, at the Steakhouse, all the events that are going on. We got livestock shows, the Sale of Champions, and then the rodeo February 10th through the 18th. We want to see you there, and we're going to have I predict, unless something should happen, we're going to have another all-time record, Dixie National.
I hope so.
There we go. Record's broken. We love to see it. Commissioner Gipson, you're a great friend to MDOT. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, and we'll see y'all on the road.
That's
okay?
right.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, no doubt. So just want to thank all of our listeners out there for tuning in to the Extra Mile podcast. Remember, you can watch and listen to episodes by visiting gomdot.com/the extra mile. We want to remind you that you can follow us on social media to keep up with everything MDOT. Follow at Mississippi DOT on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. I want to thank our producer, Katie Hornsby, our editor, Drew Hall. They do lots of great work behind the scenes. And remember to drive smart out there on Mississippi highways.